Hello, we are
Lifeguard.
ripped and torn out June 6th on
Matador
Records.
Records.
With the EPs, we kind of did this very evolutionary kind of we let the songs kind of grow over many live shows and stuff. With this record, it's kind of the opposite of that. We kind of wanted to go more into just the instantaneous sound of the band when we just start playing our instruments and what is our first instinct musically.
The process became kind of about altering these immediate kind of recordings.
Hooks and noise both have the same response. It's both an immediate thing, and knowing how to self-contain them and kind of pace them is really important, I think, to us. Two elements of cathartic experience.
These noisy songs in between the pop tracks came together after we finished the session. There was supposed to be a 12-minute splicing kind of This Heat Ladio Balacco track in the middle. And we decided to drop that.
The way that we thought about the music as it relates to the live show kind of changed, because that song, for instance, that we left off, that was something we were doing live and it was really working live, but then this record kind of, I feel became something a lot less live as we finished making it. We're not so obsessed with kind of keeping it true to the live show.
We ended up, messing around with our mixes and with our recordings and kind of the idea of the album as a whole for months after we took the original session,
Yeah, we also recorded it on tape, largely just and on 16-track tape, and we wanted a much more stylized, kind of less documentarian, kind of punchy, kind of vintagey mix.
We knew that somehow this record was going to be us messing around kind of in the playground of the studio. So there was lots of kind of playing around with synthesizers and organs and rack units and tape echoes. Even kind of in the way that we were miking up drums, it was never meant to sound like a live show. We kind of forced the kind of vacuum chamber, really dead and dry kind of dub record sounding mix. And
most producers tell you it needs to sound roomy and really screwed up, but with the Ramones records, it's very dry and very in your face, and it's kind of antithetical to a lot of modern rock recording. So I thought we got really into that type of recording.
With this band, it's there are all kinds of things in influences that I personally would never reach towards without kind of having the other two around. I probably without Kai would be disregarding so much power pop, and it certainly is not my direct taste now, but I think it's opened my horizons to listening to new stuff without getting stuck into the same hole.
I think also it's interesting how a lot of the musical interests that we have are very immersed in pop music, but very different types of pop music. I think Kai obviously has this angle from a 60s 70s perspective with power pop music, and I think that I'm super interested in 80s British pop music also, but from more of an Orange Juice perspective or something. And I think that Isaac in some ways brings a lot of Lady Gaga to the table, or 2000s pop in a way where it's we can sort of talk about that isolated from the eras, but pop music in all of its forms is what makes its way into the music, as opposed to specific eras or bands where it's oh, we'd like to draw from this. It's more just the conversations we're having about it.
The common thread of a really well-made song.
The key to a lot of bands when you're young is you should be really excited about the same stuff, and that's kind of how we started. We were excited about the same stuff, and now we've kind of branched out into different things, but somehow Lifeguard has remained its own organism with its own traits and likeness, apart from ourselves, like a child.
I think that when I met these two people, the thing that was like interesting was that their taste was very different than mine. Especially with like meeting Kai, and then I learned what Elephant Six was. And I think that also like Isaac has come a lot more into being an electronic musician as of the past couple of years, and like that has been something that makes me like really want to stay around these people, which is like, it doesn't really have a direct impact on the music. It's more just like when I'm thinking about my friends who are interested in music, it's like I'm always going to want to be around people that are changing it up or like different than what I'm used to.
No comment.
Yeah, It'll Get Worse is like a really special song, and like the kind of the new sound of the band for this record, somewhat of a mission statement, maybe one would say. It's
Want to repeat that one?
me and Asher started singing together,
Yeah.
a lot more,
Yeah.
and I just remember we were like sitting next to a bunch of tuna in like frozen tuna in the back of this venue in Austin, and we were working out the harmonies to this part, and it was like a missing piece to this kind of jam Buzzcocks kind of punk rock song we had written, and it's a special one to us because we kind of got that vocal blend on it.
It was the type of thing where like we were at soundcheck and we were like playing this new song that we were not really going to play that night, and then vocal melody just kind of materialized. That song was very labored over. A lot of different versions of the chorus in that song.
Man.
Like specifically in terms of the drums.
Like it used to kind of have the stronger halftime feel, which ended up kind of just sounding like Blink-182.
I think we took a note from dance music, and like kind of the idea that the heaviest drop is one that deconstructs. If you're listening to like Skrillex or something, or like some crazy like house song, it's like usually the drop is just like it just goes up. It's just like
Puts you
and then it's just like, and it's like chokes it, and so it's kind of like that.
The most memorable moment will always be the one with the least amount of parts. Like if you have one hook, which is the vocal melody, during that part, it's like you need to take everything and remove it around the thing that is the kicker.
I think also like the width of the melody really decreases and shrinks. Like the guitar stops playing melody. It's just like some like
BS.
some like wire sounds or something. The rhythm completely changes too, because that song is like a D-beat, like kind of like punching like forward song, and in the chorus it just like it almost feels like you just like are lifted off the ground and you stop moving for a second.
Also, the moment the vocals stop is when like the one kind of hook for the drums happens. Like the da-da-da-da happens only right when you guys like stop saying words. So it's like there's all meant to be space for each like memorable second of that chorus. All right, next one.
It's just rock music.
It's just rock music, right? Everyone's been playing the 12-bar blues always.
The thing about Under Your Reach that was really exciting to me is that intro. It's kind of like dubby, you could say, and that's a big ingredient to the kind of stew we kind of cooked on this album, was the dub side, and we really got into the echoes and stuff there.
The dub side of the stew. That song is weird because that intro part is so bassy. It's like heavy like subby, and but then that song is so reliant on the baritone, which is another thing we haven't talked about yet. Like new instrument in this band on this record is the baritone guitar. That song really feels like the mission statement of the record to me. You have this very codependent vocal part. It's like really hard for me to tell which one is the harmony and which one is not the harmony.
Well, it's kind of like an Everly Brothers, just like close third harmony.
Yeah.
And it was a fun thing to try out, and it worked out.
Under Your Reach, initially when it had been written, we didn't kind of have the plan of doing like a dub echo sound on that song like at all.
Isaac was recording a bunch of like echoed percussion, and then there was a really loud sound. It was very loud in the mix, so we could hear it.
I was, standing up on this chair, kind of reaching for this tape echo, messing around with the send sound.
I walked into the room and then heard like right on this part. I was like, holy crap, like, what are you guys doing? This is awesome. So we like, and then we got some mixes and we were like, no, turn that one thing up.
There was totally an element of that song that was completely missing up until we basically improvised it.
The Under Your Reach music video is kind of like a weird, like, postmodern kind of meta thing. And, our friend Liam Barden did it. And, I mean, he's truly an auteur.
This is really about, like, capturing the talents of your friends and showcasing them, I think, because this video is just, like, so Liam.
I'm a surgeon, and you're, like...
afflicted by time.
And, you're like a high schooler, I guess.
Yeah.
And Liam's Liam, and it just, we hope you like it.
We were proposed the plot of this video at the start of this weekend. We've been doing all this acting in this video, but none of us can quite like tie together all the parts that have been shot, and only Liam knows how to put together this puzzle.
We were listening to a lot of like the second Public Image Limited record, and we were kind of trying to make it into like a concise kind of pop number, not unlike a lot of the other songs on the record, but ended up kind of going really far into the kind of weird danciness of it.
It's a song that I think changed the most in the studio, probably, in terms of form, because it was one where we were trying for a long time to figure out how it fit together the right way. Musically, it's very dubby, it's very, like, low dynamic.
We were spending a lot of time with like this King Tubby record. There's an intro fill of that song that like repeats twice before the actual track starts, and it was like that tiny little fill at the beginning of that song that completely guided us towards how we want those drums to sound.
The lyrics are something where I'm doing what I was talking about with like trying to communicate feelings through like sort of mystified action phrases. In that song, there's this part that comes back. It's a very like dancey part. All of us were just moving when we were making that, and I think a big part of the reason for that part being longer is like that it just makes us dance. And that's something that I don't think is expressed on a lot of the record, but has its moment here.
Yeah, shake some action to this one.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm really into like Robert Pollard and Syd Barrett and Burroughs and stuff, and kind of stream of consciousness, and I sketchbook a lot. We both sketchbook and like journal a lot. Word art. A lot of the time lyrics just, if it looks good on a page and sounds good to say, that's the best types of lyrics,
Yeah, I feel like I'm pretty concerned with like the mouthfeel of what I'm saying, and with this record I feel like we were developing a lot of the melodies like as just like tonally first, and then putting lyrics to it later. I think all of my songs that I've ever written are just about love in a very vague way.
Yeah, there's a lot of love on this.
I do a lot less of the direct statements. It's a lot more like, it's like translating experiences into more figurative speech. I can still like look at those words and know exactly what I was talking about,
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the lyrics are also pretty direct, at least on my end. Like, a song like I Want to Break Out is kind of a mission statement of someone who wants to, like, break out. An outbreak, Mm-hmm. Getting out there,
Getting out.
Kind of off the map, man. Punk lyricism. And then there's, talking about tonality and stuff.
Yeah, words
Gets
like
heady,
tonality.
We're well-read people, A trick that I came up with was like, just pretend you're playing at Royal Albert Hall and like it's like the hit single of the year, and pretend that you love this song and it's like amazing, even if it's like really bad. Like just pretend you're really into it, and that's like the first step to like making a good song is believing in it, So that's a trick for the youngsters out there.
And when it's when it's sounding bad, when you're kind of faking it, then you really know that it's not gonna work. But suddenly everything kind of becomes clear when you're doing that. Where it's like, oh, like this is exactly what this song needs. Like if you're playing it in the stadium, like what's really clicking.
As a band, we've had kind of the pleasure of playing more serious venues and bigger venues, and it's always like a thrill. There's a misconception that you always like, it sounds great on stage and it feels amazing to be on those big stages. But a lot of the time it's like you're just going through a monitor and it's kind of a weird like out-of-body experience where you're just hearing something of yourself played right in front of you, and it's like we're also used to just hearing us in a room and just the immediate response of wood and like metal and concrete. When I felt the most locked in is when we're playing shows like in less than ideal audio situations, because it feels the most real and you can dial it in and stuff. One show that really springs to mind when we like felt really together was this like secret like Halloween show thing. Well, it wasn't secret, but we just told everyone like a few hours before that we were like playing under this train, and we just did like a bunch of Misfits songs and like
The Sonics.
The Sonics, Nervous Breakdown by Black Flag, Chainsaw by the Ramones, some originals too.
You were like a gravedigger. I was I was like Rocky Horror makeup ready, but also the guy from Paris, Texas. And Isaac was
I was a mess. What was I? There was no real costume, which is embarrassing.
what were you?
Like,
I don't remember.
I was nothing.
We really tried to like commit to Halloween shows.
Yeah.
And the year before that we had done
Like Kiss
one
makeup.
in front of my house. It was not Kiss
It
makeup.
was corpse paint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like really like esoteric corpse paint, I think.
It was called Death Guard.
And we
And
Yeah.
we played the Four Horsemen by Metallica in full.
And also
And we
like
did
Stop
sing.
by Jane's Addiction. It was a good.
the covers get very out there.
Yeah.
The costumes that year were good too.
Yeah.
What were you?
I was the somnambulist from the cabinet of Dr. Caligari. Why are you laughing?
Isaac was Christopher from The Sopranos,
Right.
and I was the Warriors, famous New York gang, the Warriors.
So I guess our answer is Halloween shows are the best.
A sugar high crowd is the best kind of crowd.
Thanks.